Well, hello, YouTubers. And it's here, 2017. Well, I had meant to do a video around the election, and I got so caught up with the election that I just didn't ever get around to it. So much has happened that a lot of the things I wanted to say about the election has come and gone. But what hasn't come and gone is the fact that America, once again, is poking their finger in the eye of God. And this is a very dangerous, dangerous thing to do. I think that the only thing that could really spare us is the fact that this administration is on its way out. Nobody's paying attention to him. Bibi, he's not paying attention. Putin's not paying attention. Our own Congress is not paying attention. Unfortunately, he's trying to do a few things that is forcing us to pay attention, like January 15th as he gathers the nations of the world together to come against Israel. Now, it's a known fact, maybe not a lot of people know it, I've known it, that when America has anything to do with the dividing of land in Israel, punishment is almost imminent. And that's not because God wants to punish America or he wants to punish Christians or, there are things called natural laws. You reap what you sow. If you plant corn, you get corn. You plant weeds, you get weeds. There are certain things that even God can't control because he set those laws into motion. And in Deuteronomy 12, when you come against Israel, God is going to come against you, whether you're a nation or whether you're an individual. Now, I'm going to give you just a few 8, 9, 10 instances where we have come against Israel, and within 24 to 48 hours, punishment on scales that no one could imagine has come against America. The first time that this happened was during the Carter administration, and it was March 22nd, 1979. I'm going to throw a lot of dates and events out at you. You can pause it, go back, look, and you judge for yourself. But the Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty was signed. And, this was a great treaty. Unfortunately, Israel gave up the Sinai Peninsula. Have you looked to see how much land that is? It's like twice the size of Israel. Huge piece of real estate. Well, within days, March 28th, we had a nuclear reactor meltdown. It was called 3 Mile Island. The most significant accident in the United States commercial power plant history. That was just within a couple days. Number 2, October 30th, 91. George Bush opened up a thing called the Madrid Peace Conference, where he brought the Israelis and the Palestinians together. And this was to exchange land for peace, once again, to divide the land of Israel. Well, at the exact same time that he's doing this, God created a storm in the upper Atlantic Ocean. Matter of fact, they made a movie out of it called The Perfect Storm, George Clooney. I'm sure most of you have seen it. 1,000 miles this storm came in the wrong direction. It sent 35-foot waves slamming directly into what? His home, his house in Kennebunkport, Maine. How obvious should that have been? Number 3, August 23rd, 92. The Madrid Peace Corps, it moved on to Washington, D.C. because they didn't stop them. They kept pushing. What happened? Within 24 hours, a hurricane called Andrew slammed into Florida. Now, this thing cost $30 billion. It was the worst natural disaster in the history of the United States until that time. They get worse because we kept trying to divide the land, but until this time, this was the worst. Now, I had one of my managers send some campers down to help some of the victims of Hurricane Andrew. He would drive like an extended roof van that could pull a pull-along. So I could send 2 campers. I fly him back, buy 2 more, fly him back, buy 2 more. about the third trip, though, we realized that if I just sent him in my vehicle pulling one camper, that he could drive like 500 to 1,000 miles up into Georgia, buy one, bring it back. We could actually get an extra one or two campers down there a day by doing that. Because it took about 8-9 days before the United States FEMA sent in, I guess they were called portable mobile homes or housing units. And then, of course, we were done. But, I remember him telling me one night, he said, Chuck, he said, I know you've seen this on the news. He said, but it doesn't compare that when you're down here and you're looking at this thing. He said, and of course, he was a non-believer, but he said, it was like God took a giant fly swatter and just smacked the land. He said, these huge trees, I mean, they're just like flattened. I mean, the buildings, everything just totally flattened. He said, it's just unbelievable. He goes, you can't take pictures to describe what it really looks like. By the way, I'm wearing my hat from my buddy Neil Russell, who wrote a couple books recently. He's been on Prophecy in the News and Sid Roth, and anyway, it was Newton's Riddle and a follow-up, Wiles of the Devil. So, thank you very much, Neil, for the Christmas gift. Wearing it in your honor today on this cold January day. So anyway, that was the third, lest I digress, the third natural disaster to hit after we meddled in Israel's business. Number 4, I'm going to bring to your attention. On January 16th in 1994, President Assad of Israel tried to discuss the possibility of getting the Golan Heights back, which that would be crazy for Israel to. They used to sit on top of that Golan Heights. It's like a mountain in upper northern Israel, and they could lob missiles anywhere they wanted into Israel from that height. So I can't see Israel ever relinquishing that. But anyway, they tried that day, and as we tried to push them into it, the second worst disaster in American history happened, and that was the Northridge earthquake in Southern California. On the number 5, January 21st, Netanyahu arrived at the White House. He got a very chilly reception from President Clinton and Secretary Madeleine Albright. And just within days, the Monica Lewinsky scandal broke. And that kind of put his presidency into a tailspin that he basically never did recover from, including he got impeached eventually. Number 6, September 28th, 98, Secretary Albright working on finalizing a plan which would have had Israel give up about 13% of Judea and Samaria. On that exact same day, Hurricane George slammed into the Gulf Coast with winds of excess of 175 miles an hour. Number 7, May 3rd, 99. Yasser Arafat, he holds a press conference to declare the creation of a Palestinian state, with Jerusalem as its capital. On that same exact day that we allow him to do this, the most powerful tornadoes ever recorded in U.S. history ripped through Oklahoma and Kansas. And at one point, the tornadoes actually had a recorded wind speed of 316 miles an hour. Whew. There are tornadoes around here. I tell you, 110 mile an hour tornadoes, scary enough. But 316, that's what you call an F5 category. That sucks you out of the basement. We love our basements here in the Midwest. We cling to the iron poles down there. But if an F5 hits it just sucks you right out of there. There is no protection from an F5. So, Lord help the people that were in the path of that thing. Number 8, April 30th, 2003, the supposed roadmap to peace, developed by the so-called quartet. Now, this had Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, and U.S. Ambassador Daniel Kurtzer. Over the next 7 days after doing this roadmap to peace, the United States was hit by a staggering 412 tornadoes. This was called the largest tornado cluster ever recorded until that time. Number 9, 2005, George Bush son of H.W., convinced Israel that it was necessary to remove all the Jewish settlers from the Gaza Strip. Huge, huge mistake, because when the last family was being ripped from their home, God sent a whirlwind off the coast of Florida called Hurricane Katrina, and it destroyed an American city. Because the degree in which America or any nation does this also determines the degree of punishment. You've heard me say before that Alexander the Great, when he came into Israel, he was so amazed that he saw his name in the scriptures that he refused to even charge taxes to Israel. Well, so he was in control, but he wasn't wiped out. I mean, the Assyrians did the same thing. They came in and they wiped out the 10 tribes, the upper 10 tribes. Where are the Assyrians? We don't even know who they were. They were totally wiped from existence from the planet. Yet Greece with Alexander the Great, the New Testament was written in his language. Most of the world's languages from the Greek language. So they're still around. We know who they are because the degree of their meddlement was minimal. And that's the same with America. What we do, the degree will determine the degree of punishment. Now, here's the scary thing. On December 23rd, the night before Christmas Eve, now, isn't that funny? This is the same night that they snuck the Federal Reserve Act into Congress when all the congressmen were home for Christmas. Once again, the United Nations on this night has a vote, and for 50 years, the United States has had and used its veto power to stop the United Nations from meddling in. For the first time, Obama administration refused to veto this thing that they're doing to divide Israel. Well, I expected punishment of that severity, and this is a severe thing, to come within days. The saving grace was President-elect Trump got together with our Congress, and they said they were going to stand behind him to withhold all funds from the United Nations until this was completely rescinded. So here we are 7 days later, and nothing has happened. Thank you, Lord. But on the 15th of January, just 5 days before Obama leaves this nation, he's gathering the nations together in Paris. And they're going to force Israel to do this. And I don't know what Obama can do now, or what Trump can do to stop this. He said he's going to move the embassy, the United States embassy, to Jerusalem, and that's a major move. That delegates that as the capital. But the entire world will believe now that they have to force Israel to comply with whatever this is going to be done on January 15th. And this is severe. This is severe. How America survives, I don't know. Hopefully, our new president and what he does or doesn't do will be in God's total will. So, folks, 2017, this is the year 777 on the Israeli calendar. It's 5777. They believe we've been in existence that long. And of course, they take the first letter off like we do. It's 2017. We don't use the 20. We just put year 17. Well, they just use the year 777. So that is God's signature on anything, 777. We all remember the stock market crash of '08. 7% of the entire worth of the United States was lost. 777.7 points was the actual number of the drop. So this here has his signature all over it. And our new president on his first full day in office, he will be 70 years old, 7 months and 7 days. He is Mr. 777, anointed to help bring our country back. And let's hope so. We all remember the signs of September 23rd. Well, catch my next video and don't forget what's going to happen this September 23rd, when the last September 23rd of 2015 was nothing more than a sign pointing to a future event. And it looks like that event, there's going to be Revelation 12 in the sky. It only happened twice ever, at creation with Adam and when Jesus Christ was born, and it's going to happen this coming September. So keep your heads up, look up. Your redemption draweth nigh. Chuck out.